In today's video, I'm going to be speaking about the living expenses that I've experienced living in Vietnam for 3 months. Before moving to Vietnam, I watched many YouTube videos just like this one, and I found that, in my honest opinion, Vietnam is a little bit fantasized about how amazing and cheap it is. Don't get me wrong, it's ridiculously cheap, but I wanted to come in here and just speak a few truths about what it really is like to live in Vietnam. So let's get straight into it. Let's start with the most important, rent. I lived with my roommate Tom. Our first place we lived right in the My Am Beach area. So basically, right down, you'd go downstairs and we were right over the road from the beach. Being this close to the main center, it's going to be a little more expensive compared to if you were to live 5 minutes out of that area, which is what we did after this. But we got this room through Airbnb. Now, the room was okay. It was a little bit on the rougher side as our whole level was actually getting knocked down after we stayed there, and I think we were actually the last people there. We both paid $500 per month, so together 1,000 Aussie dollars. I'll put all conversions on the screen. So that's 500 a month to live in quite a high-rise apartment, 35 floors up, and a beach view that was decent. Through Airbnb, considering you also get a cleaner and free water, the only thing you do have to pay is your Wi-Fi and your bills. That ended up coming to $60 a month. Once again, we split that in half. So rent $500, and then Wi-Fi and bills, which is like electricity, not water, just electricity, $60, $30 each. Absolutely ridiculous for where we lived. I'm not going to get into how good the place was or not, but this place wasn't too great. It was a little bit rough around the edges, but I will save that to my 3-month Vietnam review. So I'm going to do another video in the future that's completely reviewing Vietnam and living in Vietnam as a whole. But this place was okay. If you want to be in the center, it's great to be able to go downstairs and get good food options, have lots of variety, and have the beach right there, obviously. Now, the next place we lived in was uncomparably better to this first place. We paid the same price again, so $500 each, for a penthouse apartment with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, considering our first place only had 1 bathroom. Much more natural light. The last place didn't even have a window in one of the bedrooms or one of the bathrooms. This place had massive windows on each wall. Each bathroom had a window, apart from one of the bathrooms didn't have a window, but it was still very nice. And this was a more private apartment where there was only 7 levels and a rooftop pool that was shared but pretty much felt private, because I was out there every day and I think I saw people 2 times in the month and a half we lived there. So you're 5 minutes out of town. You're not gonna be able to get food options if you leave your apartment on foot. You can get some local Vietnamese options if you like that kind of food, but to get proper gym protein meals or being able to just get something quick like shopping, you're gonna have to head in 5 minutes on the motorbike into Da Nang, which is very easy. There's no tourists around this area. We first thought that would be good because it would be more quiet, but turns out Vietnamese people aren't the quietest people either, and they do love their karaoke nights. So most nights we could hear quite a lot of karaoke going on and quite a lot of events and gatherings going on around our local area. If I was to do this again, I would probably not go through Airbnb. I would go to Da Nang and I would stay in a hotel for a week. I would look through Facebook groups and go in person to find a private owner of one of these properties, because you will get a much better price and you'll also be able to see in person, whereas when we did this, we were just booking offline through Airbnb. For example, the next door neighbor to our first apartment had a much nicer apartment that he owned, which was completely renovated and newer and had a much better view, much better natural light coming in. It was just way better, and he gave it to us for quite a lot better price as well. That's something I would do in the future. The next thing I want to talk about is money exchange. Now, Vietnam is a completely cash country. I do not think I used my card once in Vietnam. I just used my Australian cash that I converted to Vietnamese dong. Now, the Vietnamese dong is very confusing. I won't go too much into it, but basically the way we thought of it is 500,000 Vietnamese dong is about 30 Australian dollars. So then you've got a million dong, which is the biggest Vietnamese note. A million dong will convert to about 60 Australian dollars. So that's just something that me and Tom thought of living in Vietnam. So the cash exchange that we went to, which always gave us an even better rate than what you'd find when you look up on Google, the rate from Vietnamese to Australian conversion. They give us a better rate somehow. It's always the gold shops. There's probably something sketchy going on there, but they gave us a good deal. I'll put on screen now where we went. I would highly recommend you go there. That's the only place that we went to. The next thing I want to talk about is motorbike rentals. Now, living in Vietnam, the buses, I didn't give them a go. They don't look the best. No trains, they don't really exist. Grab is great, but it's nice to just have your own freedom and get a moped or scooter or whatever you want to call it. Everyone in Vietnam rides scooters or motorbikes. It's rare. You will see a few cars here and there, but they struggle to get through the traffic like the bikes do. You don't really want to go in a car in Vietnam. The parking's horrible. Driving through traffic's horrible. It's just not an ideal thing. We went to a very trusted bike shop, sorted us out even when we got in tricky situations, including when we got pulled over by police, we got fined by police for things like that. I'll go over that more in my 3-month review, but they all sorted that out very well for us and gave us very reliable bikes. I even rode my bike all the way to Cambodia and it did not let me down once. And they give you free services, so oil change every 1,000 kilometers on the bike, included in the price. So these bikes cost us $100 to rent per month. You get a better price if you rent for a high amount of time. This is the price we got renting for 3 months. So 3 months, $300. It works out to be about $3 a day or $100 a month. I would highly recommend getting a bike, having your own freedom. We did think about sharing a bike. I'm very glad we didn't. It's nice to kind of be on your own bike and just have your own freedom, and it costs nothing anyway. Fuel, a full tank of fuel I think costs you about $3 to $4 to fill up a full tank, and I think the range on them is about 200 kilometers-ish. Anyway, get a bike. Next thing we want to talk about is food shopping. Now, if you're living in Vietnam, you're going to be food shopping. You're not always going to be eating out. But first, let's cover eating out. Eating local Vietnamese food out, you're going to be paying around $2.50 to $6. Now, depends on how nice of a place you go and what you get. But most of the time with the Vietnamese food, you will need to get 2 bowls if you're a normal Western guy and you eat normal amount. Then if you want to eat Western food, you can get kebabs and stuff like that. They have pizza sometimes. They have some Western food, and they have some American places as well. You're going to be paying around 100K. I'll just say around 100K, and sometimes maybe getting 1 or 2 meals. The serving sizes are still smaller than here, but they're still better than the Vietnamese food because they're more carb heavy and more meat heavy. Now you may ask, is it really cheaper to buy food from the supermarket? And the answer is yes, it's still a little bit cheaper, and it's quite a lot better value because you can make yourself however much you like. Like you can make a big bowl of chicken and rice, whereas if you go somewhere, you're gonna get a little bowl of soup and chicken with noodles. And it's easier to meet your calorie goals and protein goals if you go shopping out at the supermarket, which is what we prefer to do. The best shopping place in Da Nang is Megamart. You've got the most options there, best deals there. You can buy big bulk buys of like a big box of eggs or something like that. We've got Lotte-Mart, and then there's a few other small malls, but I would just stick to Megamart to be honest. My recommended places to eat out would be, my number 1 is Kebab Nagong. They were great. I was able to get good quality meat there compared to other places. And another Western food option is Crispy Pizza, run by Vietnamese locals that actually do quite nice pizza. For Vietnam, that is. And then my other 2 recommended places for Vietnamese places that do authentic Vietnamese food is these two places. I won't try to say their names because I will just mess it up, but this is them. I want to quickly talk about Grab. Grab is like the Uber over in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. So the Grab bike will cost you about $3, and if you double with another mate, so 3 people on the bike, which is, I'm guessing it's legal for the Grab drivers to do it, but illegal for us to do it. That's a mistake we made. They will charge you double the price, so each person will have to pay $3. And then a Grab car will cost you about $6, depending on where you go. Say drive around Da Nang, going a decent distance. Then we have Grab food. This is extremely convenient when you don't want to go out and eat. A Grab delivery will cost you, if you're living in the center like we first were, 50-cent delivery fee. And then if you're living 5 minutes out, so the food will usually come from the center and they have to drive it out to you 5 minutes out of the main Mayan beach area. It'll cost you $2, $3, no more than $4. Now let's get on to the best part, the gym memberships. Da Nang is really good for gyms actually, surprisingly. We checked out all gyms because we knew we were living there and we wanted to check out what there was. We wanted to go to a good gym while we were there and a gym we could film at and had good lighting and things like that. The gym we went to, which was just I can't actually wrap my head around how cheap this gym was. This gym is called My KHE Gym. You have to drive over Dragon Bridge to get there. We signed up for 3 months there and we only had to pay 60 Australian dollars for a 3-month membership cash. It was ridiculous. Like $20 a month for a gym, and this is a nice gym it has. So the bottom level is for leg day machines, the middle level is for upper body machines, then you have another level on top of that for cardio, and then I think there's even another level on the top for kickboxing. This gym even has a sauna, like a wood sauna where you pour the actual water on the rocks. Like, it's surprising. Nice showers, everything. For $20 a month, it's ridiculous. Then you have the expensive options. I made a video on the most expensive gym, which is Elite Gym. They give everyone a different price. It's gonna cost you about the same price as a normal commercial gym in Australia, say. So maybe $20 a week or something like that. But you're getting an extremely high level premium gym. So it'd be the same sort of price as say Anytime Fitness or something basic like that. You'd be getting an extremely premium gym with ice bath, infinity pool, all of that. Something like that in a Western country would cost you, God knows how much, maybe $100 a week for a gym like that here. So it's still a very good deal. We didn't feel the need to go there. And they're also a little bit weird about filming there as well. So that's why we loved My KHE. There was no rules. There was just do whatever. It was great. The last thing I'll talk about is when you're going out to the parties and clubs. There is usually never an entry fee in some of the higher end clubs or beach clubs. We went to Sky Bar and I went to a couple of beach clubs like Maya Beach Club, I think it was called. You have to buy drinks to be there, and the drinks aren't that cheap for a Southeast Asian country. Still ridiculously cheap. For a Southeast Asian country, they're not that cheap. And then when you go to lower end clubs, drinks will probably cost you, not lower end clubs, but just normal clubs, ones that aren't made for Western tourists, you're going to be paying no more than $1 for a beer or for a shot of vodka, like less than $1. You can get a beer for 80 cents. Let's get the monthly cost for what it cost me to live in Vietnam. Sorry, I just have to look at the notes for this part. So we have our $500 a month for rent. Then we have $20 for the gym, $30 a month for power, $120 for going out, including going out for dinner and going out to the clubs for partying and any sort of thing like that, anything recreational like that. Then we've got our food shopping, that's $80 a month. That one's hard to get your head around, but it's true. Now, also, we didn't live too luxurious. We kind of ate the same thing every day. We just bought what we needed, basically. We didn't overspend, we didn't underspend. And then $100 a month for bike. When I put those calculations together, I did overcompensate a little bit. So most of the time I wouldn't spend that much, but I was just overcompensating a little bit for the purpose of the video. And also, I'm not a big drinker, but that comes to 850 Australian dollars per month. So $850 a month, including every single spending fee there is just, it's hard to wrap your head around when you think about it, but that's how it is. That's how cheap Vietnam is. Now, I know Some of the other videos are going to say different things and stuff like that. I'm just including living normally, you know, not holidaying, not doing stuff like that, just living, working, and going to the gym and eating just like normal life. Of course, if you're going to go parasailing or go to trips to the High Van Pass or trips like that, it's going to cost you more. But this is just a video directed around literally just living. I just want to make that clear to you guys. So I hope that video was informative. I really hope it helps a few people, just like some of the YouTube videos I watched before I went to Vietnam helped me. If you have any sort of questions, please comment below and I'll answer every single question. I can reply to all comments. And if you want to move to Vietnam or something like that, drop me a comment or drop me a DM or something and I'll help you out. That is all for today's video, and I'll see you guys again next Monday.